Had so many years of great success and so many employees working here, and now you look at what's gone on, and it's quite a sad thing. It's really my honor to be back in New Hampshire. You know, you probably hear me a lot. I talk about New Hampshire because it was the site of my first victory. This is where I had my first victory.
I see that it's up to us, the people, we get to decide what to buy. And if we have a cultural preference for purchasing the American-made manufactured product, then what that will do is it will create demand for American products.
Well, you're right.
then
And
has
let
no
me
choice
just
to
tell you, it's a
follow.
good point, because in Japan and in China, they really want to buy products made in Japan and in China. Whereas the United States, we buy anything. And our people should have more pride in buying made in the USA. Remember the old days? We had made in America or made in the USA. And we should put that on. I think I'm going to do that. We should put that on our product, made in the USA. Here's the difference. We're either going to keep them here or we're going to make a hell of a lot of money. It's very simple. And they're going to regret that they ever moved. And we're going to keep everybody here. They're not going to leave. And I've watched over the years, I've watched the government, our government. They don't have a clue. They want to give interest-free loans. They want to give all sorts of deals. They don't have a clue. A couple of cases I read about where they took the money and they left anyway. So they got cheap money and then they left because they didn't have good lawyers. It didn't say, like, you have to stay. We're giving you money, stay. So it's very simple. They want to go to another country, can pay a tax to get their product back into it. They can go the rest of the world, they can do whatever they want. And don't kid yourself, folks. Other countries do that with us. We have a free deal with China. They can put their stuff in, no consequence, no tax, no nothing. Try doing business with China. I have a couple of friends here that are very much involved with New Hampshire. They love New Hampshire. They can't get their product into China. And if they do get it in, they have to pay a massive tax. So you have to have a fair thing going on, and we don't have anything fair. There's nothing fair. It's been an amazing state to me, and I learned a lot. I learned about the heroin pouring in, and I said, no way. You look at these beautiful trees and these beautiful streams and lakes and everything else. I said, this is not heroin country. It is heroin country, and it's coming from the southern border, much of it, and we're going to take care of it. And I told the people of New Hampshire, if I win, we're going to build a wall. We're going to have an amazing border. People are going to come into our country, but they're going to come in legally, and we're going to do a real job. So our middle class has shrunk 10 percentage points since 1970, and share of GDP controlled by workers has steadily declined and shifted to corporations. And the corporations are your special interest people. They're your people with a lot of clout. They're the people that give campaign contributions to Hillary Clinton. These are the people, folks. Look, you're living in a rigged system. I used to say it about the primary, because I'd win a state and I didn't get the votes. I mean, I'd win a state by a lot, and the delegates would go to somebody else. Say, wait a minute, I just won the state of Louisiana. How come the delegates aren't mine? Well, it goes this way and that way. I said, no, you don't understand. And I think I brought out a lot of the flaws because people, maybe they live with this for years. But I'd win states, and all of a sudden I'd find out, where are my delegates? And if I didn't win by massive numbers, because the system's rigged, look at Bernie Sanders. Look what happened to him with the superdelegates. You know, the Republican system is just as bad, but it's more sophisticated because they don't use superdelegates. Superdelegates are too obvious. But Bernie Sanders with the superdelegates, I mean, that whole deal was also rigged. And I think we're going to get a lot of the Bernie Sanders voters. You have Rockwell, some of the people that moved out of just this area in New Hampshire. You have Rockwell Automation, Inc. It closed its plant. 170 workers moved, in this case, all to Mexico. That was in 2009. Ethan Allen Interiors closed its plant, laid off 260 people. The workers all moved to Mexico, and it wasn't so much the workers stayed here for the most part. People from Mexico took their jobs. Freudenberg Knock closed its plant and laid off 120 workers. They moved their jobs to Mexico in 2008. Risden Ams closed its plant, laid off 40 workers, and moved their jobs to Mexico. Regional job losses have been fantastically poor, fantastically bad, and disgraceful. New Hampshire has lost 31% of their manufacturing jobs since NAFTA. Just think of that. 36% since China entered the World Trade Organization. That's a lot of jobs. That's a big chunk, almost 50% of your manufacturing. Pennsylvania's lost 36% of their manufacturing jobs since NAFTA and 34% since China entered the WTO. Ohio, and remember, Bill Clinton signed NAFTA, just for those of you that have any questions. Bill Clinton, signature right on the bottom. Ohio lost 34% of their manufacturing jobs since NAFTA, 32% since China entered the WTO. Another Clinton disaster. Maine lost 39% of their manufacturing jobs since NAFTA, 39%, and 34% since China entered the WTO. Manufacturing trade deficit with the world is nearly $800 billion. So we have a trade deficit. We trade. We have a deficit of $800 billion. Nothing new. In fact, it's amazing that for years we've had massive deficits. Now it's getting higher, it's getting worse. These countries are treating us like we're children because we have leaders that don't know what's going on. The trade deficit was only $84 billion when Bill Clinton was first inaugurated. So we've taken it from $84 billion, which is a lot of money, to now $800 billion, and going up fast. We're going to have over the next 2-3 weeks, we're going to have a very, very highly sophisticated tax plan done with some of the best people, the best economists, the best minds in the world for it. We're going to really have some plan coming up. We put the rudiments in, and the real rudiment is we're going to simplify our tax code, number one, and we're going to cut the hell out of taxes. We're the highest taxed, or just about the highest taxed nation in the world. And our businesses can't compete with other businesses for that reason also. So we're going to make it where the corporations want to come back. And part of the reason and part of the problem that corporations have, in all fairness, is they have to pay so much tax. We have, I think, $5 trillion, but they say $2.5 trillion. I think it's a much higher number than that. Outside of this country, where corporations have this money, they can't get it in because the taxes are so high and because the bureaucracy is just as bad as the taxes. So companies, corporate inversions, companies are actually leaving the United States and going to other countries to pick up their money because they can't get their money in. And that money could be used to rebuild the United States. You're talking about trillions of dollars. So all of these things are covered by me. And I have to say, the Democrats and the Republicans for years all agree on this. What's not to agree with? We're going to bring our money into the United States, trillions of dollars. We bring it into the United States.